Happy Friday!
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Thank
hello.
you so much for tuning into our videos. Thank you to all of our new subscribers and our audience who is watching and keeping up. We are hearing all of your feedback, and we greatly appreciate you for letting us know what you guys want to hear. So recently, I spoke to two of our viewers, and they mentioned to me that they really appreciate us having to educate them on how to get into the real estate market. These are past clients of mine, and they told me, you know what, Angelica, you're so right. In order for you to get the dream home that you're really longing for, you have to start off with a condo. And having to hear that was very rewarding, because everything that we're educating all of our consumers and new viewers who are watching right now, we're driven by data. And although we are very big on relationships and nurturing our relationships over time, over the long term, for as long as we're going to be in this business, which I plan on being in for forever, for the rest of my life, I think it's really important to help our consumers understand that getting into real estate you have to plan it in decades. This is not something where you just buy a house and then you sell it overnight, or you buy a house and then you sell it in 3 months, or you buy a house and then you sell it, after a year. No, we're talking about 5 years to 10 years to 20 years to 30 years. A mortgage is a 30-year marriage. Unless you're going to refinance or, take a HELOC or whatever the case may be, depending on what your goals or desires are with that cash. I mean, if you're getting into the real estate market without having a better understanding of what you actually want to build in the future, that's the reason why we are purposefully creating these videos, because we, as real estate professionals, want to help you understand that we are here to help guide you to attain financial freedom.
Something that I saw happening during the early 2000s, when mortgage rates were easy to get, and we had that very popular stated income loan, the negative AM loan. Stated income meaning that the clients only had to have a certain credit score, and you didn't have to actually say how much money you made. The loan officer could make up a number enough to qualify you. And the negative loan, meaning you were paying less than the full payment for a fixed period of time, like 3 years or 5 years. So those loans were real popular. But what I saw during that time frame, the trend was, and I even heard it, you can buy a home, make all this equity, then take that equity and buy another home, make this. So it was like this strategy, right, of using the mortgage product and the home to scale up. And what I'm trying to get to is that doesn't normally work, right? That was a bad loan. They helped you scale up. And when so many people do it, it just inflated the prices of homes, and people really couldn't afford their homes. The way it's done is long-term. Like you just mentioned, you start out with a condo, you build equity over 5 to 10 years, and it's a strategy. Because owning a home is not just owning a home for like 2 years, right? It's not like a car that you buy it and after 5 years you trade it in and you get a new car. Typically, owning a home has always been owning a home for 30, 40, 50 years. If you look, if your grandparents own homes, or people that own homes in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the 70s, the 80s decades, then when they bought a home to own it for all of their life, right? And they transfer that home to their children. And I know that's changed over the last decades, because we made it, or the industry made it so easy to get mortgage loans, right? Mortgage loans you didn't qualify for, and then they would sell it to you. Just get the home now, build this equity, then you could sell it, take the equity, buy another home, and then you could build that way. And in a normal market like the one we're in now, in previous markets, you bought a home, you owned it, you held it. for 5 to 10 years, because equity takes at least, to be able to sell it and break even, we've talked about this, at least 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Right?
At least 3 to 5 years.
So you own a home for 5 to 10 years to build some equity, real equity, and then your step-up home will become from a condo. If you possibly can move to a single-family residence, you take that equity. And that's a normal trend. Not every 2 years, every year, because home values are going up, extreme values are going up. Well, we still see values increasing, but not like we saw them increasing when people were able to get loans for any dollar amount without qualifying for them with actual income docs. So in this market, you need to have a plan for what you're going to do, and it has to be a long-term plan. And whoever you're working with has to understand that too, and they have to be in it for the long run. They have to be in it with you for the long run so they can plan with you properly for 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. So that's very important that you work with professionals. They also understand that, and that their goals are aligned with your goals too, because we've been in the market over 30 years together, and we've seen a lot of trends just in that time frame. But I think I've seen so many trends in a short period of time, like in the last decade. And prior to the 2000s, I think they were more stable, and you didn't see fluctuations as much as people. They held their homes for a longer period of time. They understood that your first home may not be your dream home. It may be a step into the market.
So one of the other things too, the reason why we say long-term, focus on long-term, is because the first couple of years, especially if you're a first-time home military buyer, you're paying more in your interest and your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the reason why we say if you're going to be but coming into this market as a military, you're 25 years old, the best strategy for you is to actually house hack or rent out your property after living in it for 12 months. That's where we come in. We literally sit down and we say, okay, how much is your BAH right now? Your BAH is $3,400. Okay, great. Well, guess what? We can get you into a condo with $3,400 in BAH. Plus, if you're able to get a 2-bedroom condo, and let's just say for hypothetical reasons, and also because we've had a client where we were able to close, get his mortgage literally right in his budget of his BAH, a 2-bedroom, he's now house hacking or renting out the other bedroom to another renter who's paying more than half of his mortgage.
And he's 24 years old.
Yes.
It's important. I think we don't have a lot of young buyers because they're afraid to jump into the market and they prefer to rent. But a lot of them is because they don't have a financial plan. And that's the other thing we do, right? You sit down with them and you go over their financial plan so you can get them into homeownership, because that's important. So 24 years old, house hacking, after 12 months, he can do this again.
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing. If you're in your 20s right now and you don't own a property, just think. In your 30s, maybe you've got married by this time, and maybe now you have kids. Well, that property that you purchased in your 20s and you didn't sell your property, because I'm a really big believer of buy and never sell because of the leverage that you have in building equity. You can have a HELOC, you can cash out refi, you can do an EARL. Talk to Ruben about how you can get into one of those products if you guys are listening and you do already own a mortgage. You have so much leverage. I mean, when we tell you real estate is such a beautiful asset to buy and never sell, it's because literally once you have that ownership of your own sweat equity of owning it for 5 to 10 years, and now you're trying to think of ways on how to get into your dream home or have another investment property, the VA loan product, you can use this an unlimited amount of times. The only qualification is as long as you've been in for at least 90 days in service, or if you got out, as long as you have your DD 214, and you could still show income that you can actually qualify for whatever that mortgage price is going to be. So if you are able to provide those three things, the next step is to sit down with us and have a financial diagnosis of where you are positionally placed, because it doesn't, just because you can't buy a house today doesn't mean we're not going to help you buy a house in 3 to 6, 9, 12, 2 years from now. Because the goal with us is not to just, kiss on the first date, right? We're here to have a slow, consistent relationship with you. And what that means is that we're meeting you maybe once a month for a cup of coffee at Better Buzzed in La Mesa, or, any of these other nice cafes here in La Jolla. It doesn't matter where. What matters is what do we have in front of us on this table? Because working with real estate professionals, what you don't want to happen is you sit down and you look back and you're like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner. Because I can give you countless reviews of people that we've worked with who said, you know what, Angelica, I wanted to tell you today that I really appreciate you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to achieve the dreams that I have now. And my family and I can't thank you enough for the life that you have helped us achieve. So if you're looking at getting into this market and you don't know where to begin, and you're trying to figure out how to build wealth and attain financial freedom, pick up the phone today. And I promise you, the only thing you're going to regret is that you didn't do it sooner.
Now, on another note, it's Friday.
Yes.
So what happens on weekends? Open houses.
Yes.
All right, guys. We say this every Friday because it's important. Don't window shop. Don't do it, because you're only setting yourself up for possible disappointments, right?
Yes. And I'm a believer of that. My family, we're active duty military. And the first thing that we did when we came in here is I went onto Zillow and I was like, oh, there's an open house here. From Texas to California, we purchased a home for $197,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, single family detached, 1-story, 2-car garage with a huge backyard, big driveway and everything. We came here to San Diego. We saw a property. Actually, in fact, I think we followed the signs. It was a fixer-upper. It wasn't even in the greatest condition, and it was already listed for $900,000. So what happened was we didn't buy. We moved here in July 2021, and we didn't buy our first home until last year. So 4 years later, and the reason why is because we felt disappointed, discouraged. We felt sticker shock. We didn't, I did speak to a real estate professional, and not mentioning any names, but this realtor had told me if I don't have a large down payment, then I'm never going to be able to buy a home or afford a home in San Diego. And ever since I've heard this person say this to me, to this day, I still remember that comment, because this is what makes myself as a realtor in this industry very, very different. I'm working with clients who are selling homes for as little as $140,000 to having properties listed for about $2 million. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, how much money you have in your bank account. As long as you're working with a real estate professional who can clearly understand what your financial position is, I'm here to tell you that we can make it happen, no matter what. It may not be in the time frame that you're looking for, but I promise you this, working with our team here at the Boss Bavins Group, I must say, which I take a lot of pride in, is that we're here dedicated to make your dreams come true. And if that means that it might take you maybe 4 paychecks or, 12 paychecks or whatever the case may be, we're here to take our time and not make you feel like you're a number, but a real person. And this is the reason why AI is never going to replace us in this industry. We're here to do all of the heavy lifting for you, and we can assure you that your emotions, your best interest is always placed first in our hands.
Yes. And if you've been told before, no, you can't afford a single family residence, and it can be true, but just the way the information is delivered to you and you've shut down basically, and you don't even, at this point, want to even consider a condo because it's just, you just feel like, okay, it's not the time because I've been told I can't. That is a problem because that can keep you from earning equity, right, Angelica? And it's so important that we recognize that going through personal experiences, right, that how we deliver the information can make a huge difference. Yes, you may not be able to qualify for a single family residence now, but it might be in your best interest to get into a condo today so that 4 years later, you can have equity of $250,000, like a real example that we have. And then you can take those $250,000 versus just renting and throwing away your BAH. You can take that money and put it towards the purchase of that $900,000 family residence, which will lower your payment because you're putting a big down payment. And so it's important that sometimes you need to understand that, not that you need to understand, I think the loan officers and the realtors you're working need to understand that just turning down someone like, hey, you're not going to be able to afford a single family residence, they're doing more damage. And if you've been damaged and you feel like, hey, I want to have a different experience because I probably could have got into the market in 2021 or 22 or 23, and I didn't because I didn't talk to the right team. I spoke to a team that just said, no, I can't afford the $900,000. The payment was ridiculous. Maybe they should have motivated me and pointed me in the right direction so that I could have got myself into a condo at least. And right now, today, in 2026, I would be in a lot different position with equity, possibly buying a house, or at least waiting and building equity versus renting and throwing away your money. And that's what makes us different. We had that experience. I've had experiences of how I want to be treated and bad experiences that I say I will never treat my clients that way because I want my clients to have a different experience than the one I received. So please call us, message us, smoke signals, sign language. However you get, reach out to us. We want to help you. We want to understand your situation. We want to see where you stand right now and how we can help you progress into homeownership.
And I'll also say this. I actually embrace challenges and I don't believe in failure. I really, even though, and I'll give you a prime example, the war that we're currently facing right now, right? Unfortunately, a lot of these political things that are currently happening to us that are affecting our economy is way beyond our control. However, I do feel that when problems come, it's a beautiful feeling because it does pull people together. Now, the right people together. I truly believe that problems is a big opportunity to collaborate with other like-minded thought processes to where we can still be optimistically moving forward together. So if you're a person who's very optimistic in this industry or in this market and you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? Maybe there is a chance that I can get into this market, even though I have been told no before, or even though I have had an experience that just made me feel discouraged. What I would like to encourage you now is, take a leap of faith. And, you never know what can happen in this industry, giving us a chance. And that's all we can ask for is to take a chance, compare us to the past experiences that you've had with other real estate professionals, and, you know, have an opinion for yourself and see what it's like to sit with the Boss Babbins Group.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for today. We're wishing everybody a wonderful weekend. And of course, like always, please, if you want, we have a library of videos with a lot of information. Click the link right below here. Also, share, like,
and comment below. Let us know what you want to hear in our next video.
bye, guys.